Okay, so we'll talk about conditions, right? And we said that we use conditions when we have to perform certain tasks. Okay, so certain tasks, like let's say you have average value. Okay, and if average, okay, so we have to check a condition, like we want to print something like this. You have passed, but this should be printed based on some condition, right? The condition is that if the average is greater than equal to 40, greater than or equal to 40, only then you print the statement. Otherwise, you don't do anything, right? So I'm going to say if AVG greater than equal to 40 colon, okay, and then you say inside this, right? So if condition colon, if condition colon, and condition is true, it will go inside if, correct? And we also discussed that when you want to put something inside if, right? That means if the condition is true, only then you execute. That has to be done by moving it at least one space inside, right? And we discussed that you can give any number of spaces, okay? But when you add a second sentence to it, second line of code to this, but when you add second line of code to it, let's say congratulations. So all these things should be inside, correct? Okay. You can have, okay, you can have just if, okay. So maybe I can put print, thank you. Now, when I run it, okay, you have, okay, because average is more than 40, okay, average is more than 40, so you can say you have passed, congratulations, okay, and thank you will be printed because thank you is not in if condition, it is anyway outside, correct? So this works. Now let's say if I make average as 30, then of course this condition is false, isn't it? 30 is not greater than or equal to 40, right? 30 is not greater than or equal to 40. So in this case, this will fail, correct? And you get thank you here. Because this fails, this is not executed. Your if can have, okay, else condition. If can have else condition. What is else condition? Else condition is, okay, say I am in else. Okay, print, sorry, you haven't passed, right? So else means it's default condition. That means if is false, okay, if this condition becomes false, if this condition becomes false, it has to go out of it and go to else. Okay, you're going out of if and going to else. Simple. Okay, so else will be called only if this if is false. In this case, 13, so this condition is false, so it will go to else. Right? Now, when you have multiple conditions, only one of the conditions will be called. You can't have both if and else being called at the same time. You cannot have none of them being called at the same time. If checks the condition, else doesn't take the condition. That means what? If is false, else will be called. That's why if does else does not have a condition. Okay, else is default condition. If is not true, right? Else will be called, whatever be the value, whatever be the condition, right? That's why we do not see else having any conditions, right? else is without any condition because that is the default condition. Works well, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you can have more conditions to it. Let's say I have a number, okay, say 5 and let's say 50. I want to check if this number is positive or not, right? How will I check? I'll check if num greater than 0, correct? So it will say print f is positive, okay? So when I run it, of course you get 50 is positive. And if I give minus 50, you won't get anything, right? You won't get anything, there's nothing printed. So we can give an else condition here. Print, okay, okay, is negative, okay? 50 is negative, true? But what if I give 0? Now, it shows that here 0 is negative because this condition is false, isn't it? So if this is false, it will go to else condition by default. So else is becoming negative. But 0 is neither positive nor negative, isn't it? So we can have one more condition. Okay, if you are adding more than one condition here, okay, we have to give using ELIF. ELIF stands for else if. So ELIF num equal to 0, you say print, okay, this is 0 anyway, so we don't have to take the variable name. 0 is neither positive nor negative. Fine. So more than like, see, if you have condition to check, of course you'll have at least one condition to check. So you use if. If you have default condition, you use else. But if you have to check for more than one condition, we use ELIF, and you can use multiple ELIFs. Okay, we can have if, ELIF, 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 else. Last is always else. First is always if. In between, you can have any number of ELIF. Right? So let's take another example here. I want to okay, let's do some grading example. Okay, I want to take marks in 5 subjects, calculate total and average. Based on average, assign grades. Okay, so how to take marks in 5 subjects? You have to say int, right? So I'm saying marks 1 equal to int of input. I'm saying enter marks in subject 1. Okay. Similarly, I will have to say for subject 2, 3, 4, 5. Correct? So 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can say total equal to marks 1 plus marks 2 plus marks 3 plus marks 4 plus marks 5. Okay, average equal to total by 5. Okay, so okay, so this is total, this is average, right? So I can print here, right? If student has scored total marks of total and average of AVG. Great. Okay. So now when you run it, enter marks in subject 1, 55, 67, 59, 90, 78. So you get total marks of 349, average is 69.8. Okay. Now, I want to assign grade based on average, right? So if average is greater than equal to 80, and assign grade A. Okay, average greater than equal to 70, grade B. Average greater than equal to 60, grade C. Average greater than equal to 50, you say FD. Okay, average greater than equal to 40, you say grade E. And average grade less than 40, right? Default condition is F or failed. Okay, so we have here we'll use if. For B, ELIF. For C also ELIF. For D also ELIF. E also ELIF. And this is default. If none of the above condition is true, then print failed. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so now here see we have multiple conditions, right? And it is not possible to handle all the conditions. Okay, this program is simple, but typically when you are working, it may not be possible to handle all the conditions at the same time together. In that case, what we can do is we can have multiple if ELIFs, okay? And you put pass condition, pass as a statement. So we'll create the structure if ELIF, okay? And then in the body, we'll just say pass. So pass, see when you are putting these blocks, right? If ELIF blocks, later we'll see about loops as well. So you need to pass at least one line of text. I cannot, so example here, I cannot say ELIF and don't give anything. Okay, I cannot say like that. Okay, I have to give something. Otherwise, you don't give, or at least one line has to be there. Otherwise, what will think? It will think else is inside ELIF. It gives error here. So when you do not have anything to type right now, okay, you want to come back and do it later, we can put pass. Pass is a placeholder indicating there is nothing in this block, nothing to do in this block. Okay, so what we do first, we create that structure. So I'm going to say if AVG greater than equal to 80, and I'm creating that structure pass. Pass means there's nothing here, okay? And if you're saying pass, you cannot give one line and say pass. Pass is when you do not want to add something now, and maybe later you want to come and add, right? You don't know what to do, or you cannot handle all the 7, 8, logic at the same time. So keep on adding pass, but then replace pass one by one with your logic. Okay, so I'm saying ELIF AVG, okay, greater than equal to 70, pass. ELIF AVG greater than equal to 60, pass. ELIF AVG greater than equal to 50, pass. ELIF AVG greater than equal to 40, pass. And then finally else, right? Less than 40, pass. Okay, so we created this structure. Now we go back and start adding your context. So here I'm saying 50. So I'm going to say print. You can choose from anywhere, right? Print. You have scored grade. Now 50 is what? 50 is D. You have scored grade D, right? So now I'll copy this entire thing and I'll put it here. Grade A. Grade B. Grade C, D. Grade E. Sorry. E, right? And here okay, so this is how you can add the multiple conditions. Now let's run it and see. First subject I did very well, I got 88, but then, other subjects I did very bad. So average is 20, we have scored failed grade, right? Then you can see 56, 78, 90, 89, okay, 99. 82, we have scored grade A. Right? Now see here. Okay, let's run this and see again. 59, 78, 55, 62, and 55. Okay, average is 61, isn't it? Now if you see here, is this condition true? No, this is not true. This is false. Okay, so it will come and check next condition. Is it greater than 70? 61 is not greater than 70, right? It comes here. Is 61 greater than 60? Answer is yes. 61 is greater than 60, right? So answer is yes. So it prints grade C. Now is average greater than 50? Yes, true, right? Then why is it not printing grade D? Okay, 61 is greater than 40 also, right? Then why it is not printing grade E as well? Okay, I told you only one of these conditions will be executed. First matching condition. It will go from top to bottom. First matching condition will be executed. So if I put 40 here before, if I put it in reverse, if I say if average greater than 40, okay, let's say if average greater than 40, print grade E, let's say, right? 40 is E, isn't it? Now, when I run, let's say I get 90, 90, 90, 90, 95. You see, average is 91, but still you get grade E because the first condition that you're checking is average greater than equal to 40. Of course, average is greater than equal to 40. 90 is greater than equal to 40. So it goes here, prints grade E, and then comes out. Okay. So the condition is checked line by line, and it will execute only one valid condition. Wherever it matches, it will execute. And then, like in this case, it will execute this and then come out. Okay, it will execute everything that is there in this if block. Once this is complete, it will not even check this condition. Okay, simply after when done, it will come down to line number 41. You come down to line number 41. So at a time, only the first matching condition is called in if, ELIF, else. First matching condition. Wherever it matches, it's done, and that's it. Yes, with me, everyone?
Yes, sir.
So, what happened to Neeraj? This.
Sir, I have texted him, but he haven't saw my message.
Okay. Okay. So this is how you can have multiple conditions in if. Now you can have if inside if. Now let's say, okay, if someone scored more than 90. Okay, if average is more than 90, okay, they win school medal, let's say. Okay, now so the grade doesn't change, right? Grade doesn't change, just that they are getting something extra. Okay, so one way to do is you can check if AVG greater than equal to 90, and you say print you have scored or you win, right? You win school medal, right? And grade is grade, oops, here A, right? And here you have to say print you scored grade A, right? And you scored grade A here. Okay, ELIF. This becomes ELIF, right? Okay, this is also fine, but one thing we have to be careful, okay, at least in doing your any of these IT projects, right? Whether it's database, whether it's programming, okay, your data should not be duplicated. Try not to duplicate the data. Okay, so you scored or you have scored grade A, you're writing twice. Okay, this is not a good way of programming. Okay, so in this case, what we do is we will delete this part. Okay, we will have if, and see, if you have scored more than 80 only, you will check for more than 90. If you have not scored more than 80, definitely you can't score more than 90, right? If your score is more than 80, then there's some chances. There are some chances that you have scored more than 90. But if you have not scored more than 80, obviously you have not scored more than 90, correct? So I'm going to put one if here itself. If AVG greater than equal to 90. Okay, print you win school medal, something like this. So what happened? This is your if condition. And if this is true, it prints this and then checks again this condition. If this is false, it'll go continue doing next. But here, if this is true, then you get this statement. So here, both the cases, whether you get, less than 90 or more than 90, you will get grade A, right? So we are using only one statement, one. And condition also, we are not checking, like we are checking only when it is 80, more than 80. We are not checking every time. Okay, you can have if inside if. Okay, inside if will only be checked if outer if is true. If outer if is false, obviously nothing inside that will be executed, right? So if will also not be executed. So when you run this, okay, enter master subject one, you can say 88, okay, 89, 99, 95, and 98. So see, your average is 93. So you have scored grade A and you win school medal. Now let's say we have one more condition to check. Okay. So what they do is if you score 95, okay, then you win president medal. Okay, otherwise you win 90, you win school medal only. So if average greater than 95, let's say you have president medal, right? More than 95, you have president medal, right?
Yes, sir.
So how do we do? Any suggestions? Think. What changes should we make here?
Sir, in first if condition, we will add.
अरे माइक ठीक से पकड़ो ना हर्ष, I can't hear you.
Sir, I think in first condition, we will add same as this if average is greater than 95.
Okay.
So we can have another if condition in this. If average is greater than 95, okay, then you win school medal. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can have another if condition in this. So we can if average is greater than equal to 90, then again we can have a condition saying if average is greater than or equal to 95 and then print it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so see, if average is more than 90, then I'll check if average is greater than equal to 95. Okay, see, you will score 95 only when your average is more than 90. So I'll say print, you win president medal, right? And here I can say else print you win school medal. That means what? See, this portion, this okay block of if will be called only if average is more than 90, right? So if average is more than 90, now I'm checking, is it more than 95? No, it is not more than 95. Then it will go to else. Else means what? It is between 90 and 95. So you win school medal, right? But if it is more than 95, you also win, I mean, you win president medal. So see here, we have if inside if, right? And you can have any level of if inside it. So for this to be even checked, okay, whether this executed on secondary thing, to reach to this level, this if has to be true and this condition also have to be true. You can have anywhere, right? Else, you have scored failed grade. You can check. So here, the value is average is less than 40. That's what the default condition is, right? Everything else we have taken care of. More than 80, more than 70, 60, 50 taken care of. More than 40 also taken care of. Here you will reach only less than 40, right? So you can say if average greater than equal to 35, you just missed. Try harder next time. Right? I'm just creating some kind of situation. Okay. ELIF average greater than equal to 25. Please study hard. Okay. Else means less than 25. Okay, or we'll make it 20. You are too far behind, something like that. Right? So within else also you're checking for multiple conditions. You have because grade is same, right? So so we'll say grade same. Otherwise, you could have added to the main also, but then we would have had to repeat all these, right? Here also, here also, here also. So not just to avoid one. Second thing is, okay, if anyway this is less than 40 only, these three lines will be executed. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll do one more example. So again, tomorrow we will not meet. Okay. Tomorrow I want you to practice. Then we'll meet on Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Okay, we'll talk about loops. Saturday, Sunday, we'll talk about loops. So Saturday, Sunday we'll meet. Or maybe if you want Saturday or Sunday also we can take off. Okay. But tomorrow I want you to practice and within 15-20 minutes, okay, I'll upload this code and video to the same link. Okay. Okay. So coming back, okay, to another example here. Write a program to check or to find the bigger of the three numbers. Or let's do with two numbers first. So there are two numbers. I want to find which number is larger. There are two numbers. I want to find which number is larger. Okay. So let's say I have number 1 comma number 2 equal to 30 comma 50. Right? I want to check which number is larger. Okay. To make it less complex, we'll just talk about greater than or equal to. Okay. We will not have three conditions. We'll have just two conditions. Okay. Greater than, equal to, or less than. Okay. Just two conditions. Okay. So I'll say if number 1 greater than equal to number 2, okay, you will say print number 1 is greater than or equal to number 2. Okay, else number 2 is greater than number 1. Simple. Okay. So, okay, this will be called, right? Okay, what I'll do here, let me move this for now so that we don't have to call that again and again, right? Okay. Now, this is a program, so we'll run it. 50 is greater than 30, correct? 50 is greater than 30. Okay. Now, we have three numbers. Okay. Now we'll modify this program. I'm going to copy this. Now find bigger of the three numbers. So add one more num3 and I call it as 350 40. Okay. So of course, number 1 is greater than number 2 is working well. But how do we handle number 3 now? Correct? So what we do here, we are comparing, okay, number 1 and number 2, right? So here number 1 and number 2. So between number 1 and number 2, we know between 1 and 2, between num1 and 2, we know num1 is greater. Correct? So, but we don't know between number 1 and number 3. So we'll check. If number 1 greater than number 3, then we say print which number is greater? Number 1 is greatest. Okay, because number 1 is greater than number 2 and number 2.
No, sir, number 2 is greater than number 1.
क्या बात कर रहे हो तुम यार? कुछ भी
50.
कंडीशन देखो ना यार, एक ही कंडीशन, अगर इसको 90 कर दिया तो क्या होगा? Look at the condition, not the number. I'm saying if number 1 is greater than number 2 means what? This is true. That's what I'm going to getting inside this. Doesn't matter. You are not writing just one flow, one line. You're not writing one line. Your program should be to handle all the conditions, all the possible conditions. Number 1 can be greater, number 2 can be greater, number 3 can also be greater. So don't look at the numbers, look at the flow, look at the flow of the program. What does this mean? How can you say number 1 is greater, number 2 is greater? I'm inside this if. This if is when will this if get called? पूरा कहानी सुनाने के बाद पूछ रहा राम को तो कैसे होगा हर्ष? this number 1 is greater than number 2. Okay, if this is true only, we'll go here or not. Tell me yes or no.
Yes,
Then how
sir.
can you say number 2 is greater?
I
Here,
saw
else
the
is number 2 is
two.
greater.
Yeah.
Okay, if number 2 is greater, it will come to else, it will not come to this if. This if will be called only when number 1 is greater than number 2. Okay, so here number 1 is greater than number 2. Now I'm checking, since number 1 is greater, so I'm comparing number 1 number 3. If number 1 is also greater, so this print will be called only when this is true, isn't it? When this is true, that means number 1 is greater than number 3 also. Then number 1 is greatest. Now, here it means, in else it means, okay, in else it means, what does it mean? It means number 1 is greater than number 2, okay, and number 2, number 3 is greater than number 1. That's why we are in else. Else means what? This condition is false. When will this be false? When number 3 is greater than number 1. When number 3 is greater than number 1. So we know that number 1 is greater than number 2. Now we know that number 3 is greater than number 1. So obviously, which number is greatest?
Number 3.
Number 3 is greatest. Okay, so here only 1 and 3, two possibilities, because we know that number 1 is greater than number 2. So obviously number 2 cannot be greatest. It's either 1 or 2. So we know that, okay, in this case it is 1 and in else it is 3. Now coming here. Now here we know that number 2 is greater than number 1. Number 2 is greatest. So now we have to check for 2 and 3. Okay, obviously 1 cannot be greatest. So I'm going to copy the same logic that we have done here. Okay, inside this else, and instead of this, I'll check for 2. Okay, if 2 is greater than 3, that means number 2 is greatest. Else, number 3 is greatest. Okay, so 50 is greatest. Now you see, again I'm repeating, this is greatest, this is greatest, isn't it? So instead what I'll do is, I will say big one, greatest, equal to, for now I'll start with number 1. And every time, okay, I will say instead of, okay, finally, once we are done, I'm going to say here, print, okay, B1 is greatest, right? B1 is greatest. And wherever, okay, this is there, I'm going to say B1 equal to. B1 is num1, correct? Here, B1 is num3. Here, B1 is num2. Okay, here, B1 is num3, right? So now when you run it, you get 50 is greatest, right? If I make it 90 here, 90 is greatest. If I make this as 140, right? 140 is greatest, right? So we are able to handle all kinds of values with this. Is it clear? Okay, yes or no? If no, then ask question.
Sir,
Yes.
Can you please explain this part once again? Like, yeah.
Which part? Which line?
This 13th line, like I understood that if num1 is, greater than equal to num2, then again it goes into another if condition to check another condition, right? Then,
Correct.
yeah. So after that, you've given b1 is equal to num1.
Okay, B1 is a variable which I'm trying to capture the biggest number. So B1
Okay.
will capture the biggest number. Okay, and then we can say B1 is greatest. So printing every time here, right? Printing, printing, printing. I don't want to print, I want to print only once. So I have a variable which will keep track the biggest number. Okay, which will keep track the biggest number and it will print here.
Oh, okay, yeah. So in this case, num1 is the greatest. So b1, num1's value is assigned to b1.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Harsh,
जी sir.
समझ में आया? कुछ तो बोलो, हाँ ना.
सर आपकी वॉइस नहीं आ रही थी मुझे.
तुम्हारा माइक और स्पीकर का प्रॉब्लम है. तुम बताओ ये प्रॉब्लम मुझे एक्सप्लेन करो. लाइन नंबर 9 to 22.
9 to 22. Sir, sir, we have taken 3 numbers.
Correct.
So to know which one is greater, so we will first we will check with the first 2 numbers. If first number is greater than second number, then we will go for the comparing for the third one.
Right.
Then if if uh, if that if then also first number is greater than third one, then is greater. If not, then we will go for the else condition.
Correct.
Suppose third for comparing with the same second condition and third condition, suppose the third condition is greater than second condition, then it will be print this.
Right. Yes.
So am I audible?
Now you are audible. You should get your new mic headset. प्रॉब्लम है इसमें.
आज ही हो रहा सर ये सही.
हाँ वही आज ही हो रहा है.
कल करता हूँ सर इसको ठीक.
हाँ नहीं तो निकाल लो ना, हेडफोन निकालने में कोई नहीं है रूम में, तो निकाल लो, डायरेक्ट माइक से बात करो.
ओके सर. सर अभी
मच बेटर. ओके. Okay, great. Now let's bring in little more complexity to it. So we are till now we are checking the greatest number only, right? Now let's look at the order. Okay, get the order of 3 numbers. decreasing order. Okay. So same code will take, and what we'll do is we'll say B1, B1 is biggest one, second biggest, and say third biggest. Okay. Number one, let's say number one, let's say number one. Okay. I want to know which is so here you will say B1 is greater than equal to B2 greater than equal to B3, right? B1 greater than equal to B2 greater than equal to B3, correct? Okay, now we have to check. So see, tell me here, do we know which is second biggest number and third biggest number? N1 is greater than N2 and N1 is greater than N3. So N1 is B1, N1 is biggest, but we don't know between 2 and 3 which is biggest, right? So we have to check if B2 is greater than, sorry, not B2, num2. If num2 is greater than equal to num3, okay, then your B2 is B2 and B3, right? So because num2 is greater, so B2 is num2 and B3 is num3. Else, num3 is greater, so your B2, B3 is going to be, okay, num3 and num2. Yes? Any questions so far here? Yes, no, maybe?
So in this one, we are just like we have already found the greatest number, so we want to display it in decreasing order, right? Just the
Yes.
same thing, decreasing order.
Decreasing order. So I'm displaying it here.
Okay.
But I need to know the B and 3, B2 and B3 value. B1 we have calculated, but we don't know B2 and B3 yet.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
if,
so we are comparing again B2 is greater than or equal to num3. I mean num2 is greater than or equal to
correct.
num3. If that is greater, then
B2 is
is the same.
num2
Okay.
and B3 is num3, correct?
Yeah.
And else B2
Is
is
num3
num3,
and that is num2. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now coming to this else here. In this else, num1 is greater than num2 and num3 is greater than num1. So here we know num2, num3 is greater, right? We don't have to check now here because num3 is greater than num1, but num1 is greater than num2. We know that. So this is what we'll get here. Okay, here we don't have to check 2 and 3 because we know 2 and 3 because see n was greater than n2 and n3 is greater than n1. That means definitely your n2 is smallest. Correct? Coming here. Again, we know num2 is greater than num1 and num2 is greater than num3 also. But we don't know between 1 and 3 which is greater. So I'm going to compare num1 greater than equal to num3. Between 1 and 2 we are not sure yet. Right? In this case we'll say b2 comma b3 equal to, because num1 is greater than num3, so num1 has become your b2 and num3 has become your b3. In this case, num2 is greater than num1 and num3 is greater than num2. So we know that num1 is smallest, right? So b2 comma b3 equal to num3 comma num2 comma num1. That's it. So now when you run it, you get 140 is greater than equal to 90, greater than equal to 50. Correct? Now if you want to change it, so 90 is greater than 50. Okay, 50 is greater than 40. You can make it 5. Let's say I'll make this as 9 first. We'll make A as last. 50. See, there's a problem here. So now you tell me this condition, where is it going? Where is it going? 90, 50, 40. So N1 greater than N2? No, false. So this is going to this part, right? Where num1 is not greater than num2, right? Num2 is greater than num1. So this part. In this part, now we are checking 2 and 3, correct? So when you check 2 and 3, 2 is greater than 3, yes, 50 is greater than. So num1, we have not written the else part of it. Correct? Else is what? If num1 is not greater, that means num3 is greater, isn't it? So you have to say num3 here. We did not write the else part of this, right? If num1 is greater than num3, then num1 is second highest, num3 is third highest. Else means num3 is second highest and num1 is third highest. So now if you do, you should get it right. So 50, 49.
So this statement just the one which we just wrote. First, we were just checking if num1 is less than num2 and just
you
wrote
will
for
reach
num2.
here. You will reach here only when num2 is highest. Correct?
Yeah.
Here num2 is greater than num1, and here num2 is greater than num3. So
Yeah.
num2 is highest.
Yeah.
You'll reach only num2. This part will be executed only when num2 is highest.
Okay.
Now between 1 and 3 we don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So we'll stop here. Okay. I will share the code.